kids of integration. You had to be strong, or else none of us were going to make it.
A life that began with struggle has grown and developed through hard work into success.
I believe in rising to the occasion of my own life and representing for the world exactly who I am.
And now, as she experiences the fruit of her labor, she's in it for the long haul.
Retirement?
What's that?
What is that? I said, no, I'm Betty White Black, baby. I'll be working until the very end.
She's a diva in every positive way possible. Sheryl Lee Ralph, here on The Pulse.
And I know where my voice belongs.
Guys, welcome to another episode of The Pulse. And I feel like all the time I say these episodes are special because I love the fact that we have special people in the studio. But we've known you for a minute,
yes,
but wanted to get you into the studio for a minute. So I am thrilled to have award-winning performer, author, Emmys, Tonys, good stuff.
All that stuff.
Sheryl Lee Ralph, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Good to be with you today.
I appreciate you coming in. Okay, so we got a lot of things to talk about. Let's start with the newest thing, and
Yes.
that's the book.
Diva 2.0, 12 life lessons from me for you.
This is not your first book.
No, it's not.
Okay.
This is actually, in some ways, an updated version of the first one, which was Redefining Diva. 10 years have passed, so many things have happened, and I just said, okay, maybe it's time for a fresh outlook.
Then it was redefining Diva and making it into a positive thing.
Yeah?
So what's Diva stand for to you?
For me, it's an acronym. Divinely inspired, victoriously alive, awesome, audacious, and if it was Sunday, we would be anointed. Yes.
Why do we need to redefine it?
I think, it was a wonderful word, to begin with. Diva stood for goddess, a deity, a woman who, with the power of her confidence and her talent, when she took to the stage, just changed the vibration of the theater. And now, things happened, and then it became about big hair and even bigger, badder attitude, and how unkind you could be, or rude behavior. And I just said, something, for such a wonderful word, let's reclaim it. So now we're lifting it up on a little higher, Diva 2.0.
And it is reclaiming it, right? So
Yes.
you've been doing this long enough to see, like, I remember Miss Patti LaBelle, and we
Diva.
said diva, right?
Yes.
But you said diva then, like, such a positive thing.
Oh, yes.
You had Gladys
Aretha
Knight,
Franklin.
right.
Diva.
And we embraced diva
Yes.
then. So when did it become, that person's just doing too much?
Well, you know what, I won't talk about them, but there were a lot of people who just were exhibiting a complete lack of confidence by exhibiting bad behavior, by showing you that it was okay to be unkind. It is never okay to be unkind. And when you embrace bad behavior, we end up in times like what we're in right now, where lying has become okay. Lying is not okay. Hurting people physically, it is not okay. We're experiencing that with physical altercations, gun violence. We're also seeing it in hit-and-run accidents. These things are not okay. It is the worst of us, those who get on the street and decide that the rules of the road are not for them. That sort of behavior is not okay. We have to re-examine who we are as human beings and what is good for the world. That's why I stress in my book, be kind as you possibly can to yourself so that you are better able to spread that kindness and share it with others.
The book explores a lot of kind of life lessons. It
Yeah.
explores your history.
Yes.
It feels like in a lot of your speeches, and we'll touch on them, and a lot of
Yes.
your philanthropy, you're just kind of giving a message to society of be better.
I know what it's like to be left out. I know what it's like not to be chosen. I know what it's like to be told, well, I don't like that about you, or I don't like this about you, so therefore you don't get the job. I know what all of that feels like, but I also know what it feels like to continue believing in myself, understanding and knowing that if they don't choose me, they have made a terrible mistake. And they might not know it now, but they will know it later. You know, I believe in me. I believe in rising to the occasion of my own life and representing for the world exactly who I am. Yeah.
Did you always have that belief in yourself, or did you have to get there?
I'm a child of the 60s, and I had to get there. You know, being a child of the 60s, oh, it was horrible. You know, when I talked about that in my TED Talk, and I talked about how the 60s really molded me as a human being when people... They were just unkind to you. They would say horrible things to you. You know, the shade of your skin wasn't good enough. The shape of your nose wasn't good enough. Your lips were not good enough. And oh my God, and people would just say all kind of things to you. I integrated my school when I tested out of public school, and I went to a very private school, Notre Dame Academy for young women, and I was the only black person in the whole school all day long. And the things that I was subjected to by people, and not just the kids, but the adults too, it was either going to make me stronger, it was going to completely break me. And having the kind of parents that loved me, you know, my parents pushed me knowing that I could overcome, knowing that I could take it. You know, kids of integration, you had to be strong, or else none of us were going to make it.
Glenn Turman was here.
Yes, I love Glenn Turman.
High and doing a bunch
oh
of
my
he had a
God.
documentary out.
Yes.
And it's interesting because he was talking about some of those same things, because he's been in the industry through a lot of those steps.
Right.
Is it ever interesting to you that we sit back and we see the success? We see diva in the kindest sense of the word.
Yes.
And had no idea what was going on behind the scenes as you're smiling on camera. The same fights that people were having in society, you're fighting in an industry that was often unkind.
Yes, you know, I tell people I don't look like my journey. You know, I do not look like my journey. I show up the best me possible. The industry, I remember, I thank God for Sidney Poitier. My very first film, Piece of the Action, was with him, and he was just so wonderful about guiding me through the industry, helping me understand how difficult it would be. And I remember leaving that set, and he said he was very sorry the industry did not have more to offer me because I deserved it. But, you know, all things in time, because all of those years passed, and it's taken me 40 years to become an overnight sensation, and I am enjoying the best times in my whole career.
So you still love this?
Oh, I love what I'm doing. It was interesting. I was sitting down watching TV, and they were talking about retirement and retirement taxes, and I literally thought for a moment. I said, retirement?
What's that?
What is that? I said, no, I'm Betty White Black, baby. I'll be working until the very end. Absolutely. She and Cicely Tyson worked right up until the day before they died. That'll be me. Yeah.
Coming up next, she's experiencing a lot of personal success, but Sheryl Lee is always about standing up for her peers.
This strike is a seminal moment in the entertainment industry.
%, of our union is made up of plain old ordinary people trying to make a living.
Is it at all frustrating that after this kind of career, when you've been doing it, you're getting the flowers now,
Yes.
and here comes this strike
Oh.
that shuts down the conversation? You know, we're gonna pause some of the flowers, or is this just another fight you got to get in?
I'm telling you, that's life. That's what happens. And I believe that I'm the vice president of the LA Local, and we have over 80,000 people that we represent. And I'm telling you, this strike is a seminal moment in the entertainment industry. The contracts that we are fighting for are important. We should have contracts that can keep up with life and the cost of living. We should have contracts that people are able to work in a way that they can afford health insurance. Yes, we've got a mix of people in the 80% of our union who do not work. Some of them are working actors, some of them are just members of the union, but those people that are putting in the time and the work should be able to have health insurance. It is not acceptable that you create a new equation for the industry where people are going to work 7, 10, maybe 12 episodes. You want to hold them to those episodes and say they can't go seek work elsewhere. Something's got to change. We do not want to talk about artificial intelligence, but it is important to talk about AI because it is happening right now. And why should studios have the ability to scan our bodies, take our movements, maybe put somebody else's face on our body and we get nothing about that? No.
I do think that there are people who believe, and I work in TV,
yes,
that you make a whole lot more money than
wow.
you do.
You're right.
Now, and then when people see someone like yourself, or
yes.
people see some of the people who are successful,
yes.
have done well,
yes,
then they see you out there going, well, what are they complaining about?
It is very easy to sit pretty and say, they don't need my help. Well, what do I need to help them for? Go fight for yourself. I'm fine over here. Go fight for yourself. People need allies. You need somebody, when you're doing well, you need somebody to stand up and say, I get your struggle, I get your fight. There are background workers that are very integral to our industry. Pay the people, dancers, singers, disc jockeys, all kinds of people are a part of our industry. So this is not about some high-paid actors saying, pay me more. Not at all. Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, any of the big folks out there, and it's really about the big boys. You know, the big girls are coming in a distant second when it comes to the pay, but they negotiate what they get. And they, in some ways, become actor producers. That's a different level. This is not about that. This is about the 80% of the union that are plain old ordinary workers that deserve a good contract.
Coming up, after years of work and a successful career, what's it like to finally win that elusive Emmy?
It was like my father up in heaven. I could hear my father saying, don't you cry. This is your moment.
The moment my mother found out she was nominated for her first Emmy.
No. Oh my God.
You got nominated?
Oh my God.
You nominated?
Yes.
Love it!
You won an Emmy.
Yes.
Not long ago. You won lots of awards
Well,
over the course of your career.
Yes.
But you won an Emmy, and it went viral. You know, I am an endangered species.
But I sing no victim song.
Was that planned? Because it seems like you got up there and it was just...
It was the walk to the stage. I don't really remember. I remember hearing Quinta saying, "Get up! It's you!" And I was in such shock. And I took that walk, and it was like I was replaying every year in my whole career, everything that I had been through, the things that had been said to me. They said that when you're about ready to die, your whole life flashes in front of you. My whole career was flashing in front of me, and I could hear my kids up in the balcony screaming, "Mommy, yes!" And it was just an amazing moment. And then there's this huge sign in front of me saying, "Stop now, stop now." And I remember thinking, I am not going to stop now, because this is just the beginning. And just as I was about ready to break down into tears, it was like my Father up in heaven. I could hear my Father saying, "Don't you cry. This is your moment. Show them who you are." And I burst out in song to just calm myself.
So completely, it was just the moment.
I thought somebody else was going to win. I didn't think I was winning.
Going back to the whole diva discussion, and
Yeah.
I say this respectfully, it doesn't seem like the awards necessarily mean that much to you. Like the achievement and the work
is, yes.
and, you know, and the activism and things like that, this one meant something.
Yeah, it did. You know, there was something incredible about my peers, the people that you work with, the people that see your work, to choose you and say, you are one of the best. You represent the best of who we are. Understanding that everybody in that category, everybody that I am nominated with, was nominated with, they are all some of the best. But you're the one that gets it this year. Oh my God, it's just,
It still means something.
it still means something to me.
I'm going to touch on this because I know your husband.
Yes.
I've known your husband for a minute.
What do you call him,
Back.
Senator
Call
Smooth?
Senator Smooth. We used to have theme music for him when he would come on my radio show.
my
And in your
gosh.
book, you got him in the hat.
The hat, because that's
The whole-
him.
Right. Like, it was Senator Smooth.
That's right, Senator Vincent Hughes. Smooth.
Right.
I like it. 21 years together and 18 years married.
I've known him, obviously, for a lot longer than I've known you.
Yes.
But sitting and talking to you, I get it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's a senator who has been involved in these causes. He's
Yes.
been getting dollars into communities for years.
Yes.
You know, he cares about these initiatives. You guys have partnered together on all of these different initiatives, you know,
Yes.
sometimes behind the scenes. I get it now.
Thank
you know, because I understand it. It's like you found that kindred spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm the
it's
yin to his yang.
So the book.
The book.
We touched on the book. I want
Yes.
to end mostly with the book.
Yes.
So a lot of what we've been talking about, things that people will experience in the book, your
Yes.
lessons, your history, your message.
You know what? In writing Diva 2.0, I wanted people to realize that you're so worthy. There's so many people out there that are so wonderful. You know, I've had some conversations with people that someone would not pay any attention to, but there's something so wonderful about them. There was a woman on Fifth Avenue, and I saw her maybe 6 years ago, and she was messed up from life. And for whatever reason, she looked up and she said, "Sheryl Lee Ralph, take my picture, because maybe my family will find me." And I thought about that woman, down and out, who had the wherewithal to ask for help. Most people will never have that. They will never be at a position where they say, "I need help." You know, I saw that woman maybe 2 months ago, and I was talking to her again, and my daughter was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm talking to her." The woman took her phone and she said, "Sheryl, that's my daughter." Oh my God, talk about getting choked up. That's my daughter. Okay, so maybe she didn't turn out to be Vice President of the United States overnight.
She found her family.
She found a family. These are some of the things that I'm talking about. Sometimes people need to find themselves. You know, we've got a big problem in crime in cities across this country, not just Philadelphia. Yes, it's bad here, but it's not Philadelphia alone. It is happening because a lot of us have forgotten how to take time and to put time into other people. You think children raise themselves? Sometimes it takes a village, a community. Sometimes it takes a good school to help raise up children. We've forgotten that that is necessary. But then at the same time, I think that sometimes those sort of things are put into place so that you end up dividing people, so that you get people on both sides of the problem to say, well, those kids aren't worth anything. That community is not worth anything. Yeah, that community is worth something. Yes, those people are worth something. And just the same amount of time you put into other communities is the same amount of time that you should put in these communities. And we are the ones that we have been waiting for, and we are the ones that are able to change it. That maybe I'm going to put that in the next book.
Coming up next, as I'm sure you might expect, Use Your Voice for Good, that takes on special meaning to Sheryl Lee Ralph.
Use your voice, find your voice, be careful with your voice, because inner thoughts do not always need to be outer thoughts.
That leads to our final question on
Yes.
every episode of The Pulse. The theme of this show is use your voice for good. So regardless of who we have in, we always end with, what does the concept of use your voice for good mean to you?
I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman, I am an artist, and I know where my voice belongs. Use your voice, find your voice, be careful with your voice, because inner thoughts do not always need to be outer thoughts. And sometimes you need to put the mic down and listen. But above all, be good to yourself, because like the great drag queen says, if you can't be good to yourself, how in the world are you going to be good to anybody else?
It was a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow is all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Sheryl Lee Ralph, I wanted to have her on The Pulse for quite some time, and you see why. She is a force. She is somebody who is advocating for good. She is somebody who has redefined diva. I say again, wow. And I leave you today, as I always do, reminding you whenever you can to use your voice for good, and have a good one.